Friends, today we're going to tell you about the marriage of a fakir and a princess, and the story of the king becoming a monkey. How a magic-doing king became a monkey. Let's listen. Once upon a time, there was a very beautiful village. In the same village, there lived a king and his wife. She had a beautiful daughter. The father loved his daughter very much. When the daughter became eligible for marriage, his relations started coming from other kings. He was also meeting boys to get his daughter married, but till now, no one was able to marry his daughter. One day, a beggar fakir, who was about 70 years old, came to his village and said to the king, "I want to marry your daughter." Hearing this, the king got very angry and said, "How dare you? So much so that you even think about my daughter." He told his men to immediately blow his neck. How did he dare to even think of making my daughter his wife? The fakir was arrested, taken away and put in prison. That fakir said, "Try to understand me, I want to marry your daughter, but there is a big reason behind it." But the king said, "I don't want to hear even a single word. Take him away from here immediately and put him in prison. Put that fakir in prison." When this news reached the princess, she said to her father, "What are you doing? It is not a good thing to do this with an old man." He said, "Don't get in the way of those princess fakirs." She used to respect her very much. She said, "Whatever may be the case, I do not like that the king of this country should oppress an old person like this." The king said, "Your word will be accepted. Now go from here." She had left from there, but she did not know that he had brought the message of marriage to her. When the princess came to know that this fakir had brought the message of marriage for her, she came again to her father and asked, "What is this fakir? Had he asked me to marry him?" The king had forbidden everyone from telling his daughter because she was very stubborn, and whatever decision she took, she would follow through even if it meant facing hardships. Now, when the king came to know that his daughter had learned the truth, he said angrily, "My only daughter, my beloved daughter, after marrying the old man, did he even think about how my daughter, who is very intelligent, would react?" She remained silent in front of her father at that time, but she thought in her heart, "If that fakir really wants to marry me, then there must be some reason behind it." At that very moment, she went to the prison to meet the fakir and asked, "Why do you want to marry me?" The fakir said, "When I marry you after that, you will know yourself why I have married you." She said, "Okay, I'm ready to marry you." This news spread like wildfire. The princess wanted to marry that old fakir, and the king himself had agreed to it. When the king tried to convince his daughter, she replied, "You have brought me up with great love. You have fulfilled all my wishes. Now the matter is about marriage. When I want to get married, I will marry only that person whom my heart desires." But the king was not ready to accept that his only princess should marry a fakir. She said, "I want to marry him because there is truth in his eyes which I have never seen in anyone's eyes to date." At the behest of his daughter, finally, the king had to agree. He announced to the entire sultanate that his daughter was getting married, but this marriage would be very simple. There would be only nikah, and from today onwards, my daughter would not live in the palace but would go to his hut with him. He was very angry because he did not want his daughter to marry that old fakir, but she was doing her own thing. So, he decided to punish his daughter by making her leave all the comforts of the palace to live in a hut with that beggar. After all, what could be a bigger punishment for a princess than this? The king's order was very strange for the people, but the most surprising thing was the unique story. No one could understand why a young princess would marry an old fakir. Anyway, she got married to the fakir on the king's orders and went to the fakir's house. It was just a small hut under a tree. The fakir reached there and told his wife, "This is my small house. You married me without knowing the reason. You are a very good-minded person. I want to thank you for this, but I don't have anything like that. I remain hungry all day long and pray at night whenever I can get something to eat from somewhere. If I get it, I will eat it. Will you live with me in this condition?" The princess said, "If I have married you, it means that I will have to live in the condition you keep me in." The fakir said, "I have married you. There are two big secrets hidden behind this. But why did you marry me?" She said, "I had prayed in the court of Allah that if a virtuous person comes into my life, I will accept him as my husband, even if he is a prince of some kingdom. Or you may be a dervish and you came to our place on the same day. I saw my prayer being accepted with my own eyes. That is why my father was also angry, but I accepted this relationship considering Allah Ta'ala as the Nazir. Then whatever happens, I will be with you. I would like to live together." She was so patient that the fakir was very happy to have such a wife, and both of them would remain hungry all day and worship Allah all night. Fakirs do not do any work without any purpose. That princess knew this very well. She was thanking Allah by leaving the royal lifestyle and adopting a life of beggars. That fakir, seeing his wife in this condition, always kept praying for her in the courtyard of Allah Tabarak Ta'ala. One day, the fakir had gone out of the forest for some work. An unknown man came there to meet the princess. He was a servant sent by her father. He said, "Your father likes you very much and says that our princess is also happy with that fakir or his. My heart is full. Tell her that if she wants to come back to the palace, we will call her back to the palace and get this relationship ended." The princess said, "It seems that my father did not recognize me. I am very happy with him and God bless you. But I am ready. He is my husband." That servant said that your father has sent a very big pearl for you, and that servant insisted and kept the pearl there and went away. When the fakir came back from his work, he saw the pearl in front of him. He said, "Who gave this to you?" She told the whole story. He said, "If you are not happy with me, you want to go back to your parents, then you can go. I will not hold any grudge against you. I agree with you, but I would like that you are happy." On this, the princess said, "I am very happy with you, and I do not lack anything. I have got everything in your face. I do not know what you want. I just stay here with you for the sake of Allah. I am talking about this pearl. I did not want to keep it, and the servant forcibly kept it with me. Then the fakir said that you have no attachment to it, or your father has sent it for you." She started telling me that everything. "It is my attachment which I have got from Allah Almighty. Otherwise I don't want anything else. I just wanted to say that the pearl disappeared from there." Seeing this, the fakir smiled. "You did not tell your wife what all this had happened. You said that you are a noble Parsa woman. That is why the pearl went there on its own from where it came. A brave woman lived with her husband lovingly. There was so much age difference, but even then she was at peace. Who had always seen the royal life? Today only on 2 dates. She was making her living and this was a big deal. Sometimes even dates were not available to eat." One night the fakir was praying when he heard the sound of someone coming. The fakir saw a man walking with a big plate on his head. "Coming," he said. "The king has sent this dinner for his daughter and has said that tell my daughter that she will only drink water. Her husband is not even capable of feeding her. Her father is still alive and can give her everything." Hearing this, the princess started saying, "I have no wish, I have no need. I only ask from my Allah, go take this food or go and give it to the person who has sent this food. I will eat only what Allah will feed me. And this is what I have said in the name of Allah." I also prayed, but the servant was forced to stand with the plate. The princess got angry and said, "I will not eat this food. I am not the destroyer of the blessings of Allah." Hearing these words of the princess, the fakir had tears in his eyes. He said, "Allah Ta'ala, O Allah, she asks from you because of me. She is living her life on Venus. I never even said, oops, but today you bring down from the sky for my wife a plate that no one has ever seen, a fakir." The prayer was heard, and a silver plate was coming down from the sky in which the food was kept. Seeing this scene, the king's servant lost his senses and went back towards the palace taking his food. Now here the fakir said, "You always say that you will eat only when Allah Ta'ala will feed you. This food has come for you from the sky from Allah Ta'ala." Now the princess ate that food along with her husband. Today, for the first time since her marriage, she ate a full meal. On this, he thanked Allah Ta'ala. When the servant returned to the palace, he said to the king that now he should not worry about his daughter at all. For her, silver utensils are falling from the sky. She is living a very good life, and she is someone who seems to be a prince of some sultanate. The king said, "How could this happen? If it was so, then why would he live in a hut? How could my daughter go against me?" Hearing these words of his servant, the king's ears perked up, but he did not say anything in front of him. He said, "I should also see where the food for my daughter comes from." One day he secretly disguised himself and reached near the fakir's hut. Here the fakir again prayed in the name of Allah. He saw with his own eyes that a plate was coming down from the sky, and there was such food in it which no one had eaten till date, nor such food had been cooked in the king's palace till date. Seeing all this, his blood cooled and he went to his palace. I came back. He started walking left and right. He said, "I think this fakir is a great magician. That is why he is ordering food from above like this." He told his special man, "We will have to eliminate that magician. That magician has ruined our life." The employee said, "Yes, I know a magician who can fight him. He is a very accomplished magician. No one's magic works before his magic. Everyone fails in front of him, and he is a dervish." "What is this 70-year-old man whose feet are hanging in the grave?" The king said, "Okay, immediately call that magician and bring him to me." When the magician came, he was told everything and said, "Allah Fakir, in this way, take my daughter with you." They took her away, and as a magic, they are feeding her daily. When the princess gets to eat such good food every day, then it is obvious that she will sing praises of the same. "I just want my daughter back at any cost." That magician has started the practice. After doing it for a few days, he came to know that he is not a magician, but he is from Allah. So it is not so easy to compete with him. The magician came straight to the king and said, "I cannot compete with him because if I stood up, I would suffer a huge loss." The king asked what kind of loss would happen. He said, "I just don't want to do any magic." The king got angry after hearing this because, till now, he was tolerating every insistence of his daughter. Now when he saw that the magician was not ready to do it, he said to the magician, "If you cannot do this, you cannot bring my daughter back. Then I will do this myself to bring my daughter back. Can you teach me this amala?" The magician refused the king and said, "You do not know that your kingdom will be overturned and nothing will be left." The king replied, "I want my daughter back at any cost." Now the magician asked the king to teach him that amala. Started here, the daughter was taking the name of Allah and was pretending to be her husband. She was offering namaz and was getting closer to Islam. The peace she was getting in sleeping on the mat of the hut, she could never find that peace in the palace. She was not found on a soft mattress, but her father was away from Islam and engaged in witchcraft because he had to defeat the fakir of Allah at any cost. He had to bring his daughter to himself. Now the king had asked the magician to complete the task. Having learned this, he wore the attire of a magician, sat at one place, drew a circle, and started reciting the mantra. In that mantra, he was asking for such powers with the help of which he wanted to destroy the fakir. But those fakirs of Allah were the powers of the Supreme Lord from whom they were praying. No power could work in front of him. The fakir of Allah had understood that someone was flirting with him and wanted to separate his wife from him. He did not want to let this happen under any circumstances, because whatever he did all this for the same reason. Then he opened the Holy Quran and started reciting it. The king was blowing towards him again and again by reciting the mantra, but every time he turned towards him. Now the king started reciting a special mantra when he recited the mantra. So a big, fat, fresh wild monkey came there, and the king said, "Go and tear apart the fakir in the forest and bring my daughter back to me." On the king's orders, The monkey went running towards the forest. But here the fakir of Allah was reciting the Holy Quran in a beautiful voice. When the monkey reached that fakir, hearing the sound of the recitation of the Quran Sharif, he sat there to listen to the recitation. All his magic ended here. The king looked at the monkey and then he started taking the name of Allah Ta'ala. As he kept on taking the name of Allah, the king's condition was getting worse. The magician had already told him that if the magic got stuck and if something went wrong, then something would happen to him that he could never imagine. He would be turned into an animal, and that animal from which he would want to seek help because he had chosen the monkey to attack the one of Allah. Now its appearance was like that of a monkey. It happened, and the monkey who had come to attack the fakir disappeared from there. The fakir looked at the princess and said, "Forgive me, I have not done well to you." The princess said, "What did you do, fakir?" "It seemed that I had made your father look like a monkey. I did not want this, but the magic he had done on me was backfired on him." When the princess heard this, she felt very sad and said that now they should go to the palace immediately. Let's see what is the real matter. She reached the palace with her husband. There was a stampede there. Everyone was saying, "What happened to the king? What happened to the king? How did his face become like that of an animal?" Seeing the fakir at the door, the doorman asked. She was not allowed to go inside and said that he was a very big magician and he had done this to our king. The princess said, "I am the princess of this place. Let me come." As soon as she came inside, she saw her father in this condition. Her tears were flowing. He was beating his head. His face was like that of a monkey, and the rest of his torso was like that of a human being. The daughter started crying after seeing her father in such a form. She asked, "Why is all this happening to you?" Because he had become like a monkey dot. Whatever he was her father and she was a daughter. Seeing the face of her father, she started crying. She said, "Why did you do this to us? Why did you want to kill my husband?" The king said, "I knew your husband long ago. The husband married you, but to date he has not told the reason for marrying you. Today I will tell you that actually, I did not want to marry you to a Muslim, but I wanted to marry you to the prince of a sultanate who was a non-Muslim. She had a huge property, and I wanted to take over that country by marrying her to you. That's why I did not tell you this, because you were very close to Deen, and I knew that you are very pious, worshipful, and you want that your husband should follow the true path." One day I was going towards his country to meet the same non-Muslim prince. On the way, I saw the hut of this man. I saw him praying there. Did you know? It may be that I have a strong hatred for beggars. When I saw that beggar, I said, "I don't know who my daughter will marry. I will never get my daughter married to any beggar. I will make her the wife of some prince, even if he is a stranger." Saying this, why not be a Muslim? When I started passing by, this old fakir stopped me and said, "Why are you talking like this? Being a Muslim, you should marry your daughter to a Muslim only because only a devout husband will respect your daughter. You will respect him and love him because he will be fearing Allah. Your daughter will also love him. This wealth, this palace, all this will remain here. In the end, only he will be the one who will be happy with you. He will be your friend who will follow the path of Allah, just me." I found his words very bitter. I said, "Why did you say this? Who are you to say these things to me? I can marry my daughter wherever I want." I started hating him so much that after telling my soldiers, I even got him whipped. But this still, he kept telling me not to torture his daughter. That's why he followed me to the palace to marry you. You were about to sacrifice your life in the name of Allah. You went against my wishes and married this 70-year-old. I married an old man. I thought that he was a fakir who lived in a hut. What can he give you? You are a princess who lives in palaces. After a few days you will come back to me. But you patiently stayed there and prayed. You are hungry, but you did not come back to the palace. When I saw with what honor the plates of food were being brought for you, then I did the magic which I should not have done. My face became like that of an animal. Then that king and that beggar of Allah. He said to me, "Forgive me, my daughter was very hurt," and she said, "Whatever you wanted, I should not get married." I'm living my life like this. But whatever Allah wanted, it happened for the best, and I've got the best husband from Allah. He is afraid of sex, avoids worship, is honest, and respects his wife. I have always wanted that whatever I get should come from Allah. My husband has also been given to me by Allah, even though he is 70 years old. I am sure about this. But I am also happy because a husband who respects his wife is good. Why should I search for a prince who has a huge kingdom but a very small heart? I pray to Allah that I will get him, then what else do I need? While she was still speaking, the fakir's face changed in a moment, and he became young and beautiful. When she looked carefully at her husband, she said, "Who are you?" The man of Allah said, "I am your husband." He couldn't believe it. The king was also very surprised to see this. He was crying and regretting his condition. He said, "I bit the 70-year-old man so much that my face became like that of a monkey. But this is Allah's people again." The fakir, who became young, said in his voice, "Yes, I am your husband, the husband who was written in your destiny. You used to say that whatever you get, you should get it from Allah. You will ask for it from Allah. Allah does not give the best, Allah gives it. He gives the best. You lived your life with patience and gratitude. You ate whatever I fed you. You never even said, 'Oops.' Allah Pak was pleased with you and gave you the husband you deserved. Then he took his wife with him and went to the forest. When we started passing through the road, he said, 'We are not going to this hut.' He said, 'I am taking you to the place where you will become a queen. This hut, this forest, and this empty tree, all this was your test. You have succeeded in this test. I told you that when you will know the reason, you will thank Allah. Whatever he asked from Allah Ta'ala, Allah never disappointed him. Of course, for those who trust in the people of Allah, Allah Ta'ala blesses them with that place, where even their pride cannot go. That's why, dear friends, we all should have faith only in Allah's religion and should ask from Allah's religion. That's all in today's video.